15 seconds.
Here we go, 15 seconds. Going for a take on the floor.
Let's have a take on the floor and roll those guns.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to the news. The headlines today: Education Secretary David Blunkett announces a major shake-up of the primary school system, but teachers say it's a recipe for chaos. New E-Millionaire show winner Joe Ryko finds there is still cash in .coms. And British athletes ready to go for gold. Now for more on those stories, here's Mik Scarlet.
Thanks, John. Education Secretary David Blunkett today announced a complete restructuring of the primary school curriculum. Mr Blunkett is proposing new education goals and a teaching service strategy which will affect children throughout the English school system. Charity worker Joe Ryko became an E-Millionaire last night, but not through his stock valuation. He was the winner of Channel 4's E-Millionaire show. Mr Ryko now stands to benefit from £500,000 worth of investment in his new online service for disabled people. Blimey, that makes a difference, doesn't it? Stories featuring disabled people that treat us just like anyone else in the news. Positive language and upbeat images. It makes such a difference. The language used in newspapers, TV and radio reflects and shapes the whole way we think about disability. And pictures too have a real impact on how we view disabled people. But what's the reality?
I mean, we're like any section of the community. Some of us are good, bad.
Having a disability doesn't actually stop you from leading an independent, normal as possible life.
And then there's the language we use every day. The way non-disabled people actually talk to disabled people is just as important.
Easier to get to the toilet as well.
In this video, we want to get across why the words we use are so important. Words and the way we communicate underpin a whole set of values. And we hope to give you some suggestions that you might find useful.
Cool.
Nice one, sir.
My name is Mandy Colleran. I currently work as Arts for Access Coordinator for Change, an organisation working for equality for people with learning disabilities. Marie, sorry to bother you, have you got one of those costing sheets, please? Yeah. Prior to my job here, I worked as an actress, and so my experience of the press really has been on my work as an actress. Oh, right, I'm with you now, right. Sure. Well, one of the most memorable things for me was being described as diminutive Scouse wheelchair user. I mean, it's quite accurate on one level, but actually says nothing as a review. It doesn't say anything about me and my performance, whether I was any good or not. I mean, I think you just feel, you feel pissed off, I suppose, is as how you feel. And also, I mean, it's just the same old, same old.
Some stories may be the same old, but some of the punchlines are changing.
Good evening, lovely to be here. Sometimes I get asked questions like, do you ever wish you were normal? Now that's a tough one, but no, because the world would be so boring if everyone was disabled. And some men, I can't believe it, some men wonder, are you shaky during sex? Well, that depends on how good you are.
But back in the newsroom, there are deadlines to meet. Maybe it's just too difficult to get it right all the time. John Quinn is a former reporter and now sub-editor on the Sheffield Star.
A lot of people tend to get it wrong, basically, in their use of words and the terminology. Things like crippled, which isn't used all that much nowadays. In one case recently we had somebody writing that somebody was bound to a wheelchair, which sounds like an interesting idea actually, somebody being continually tied to the thing. Not always necessary to describe somebody as disabled unless it has some sort of relevance to the story. There are stories where a person's disability should be mentioned. If you define news as something that doesn't usually happen, then something like somebody blind becoming a judge is probably a relevant story, but it's the way in which it's treated. It's very easy to make it sound like this person's some sort of superhuman who's fought against the odds, been really brave. Well, that's not necessarily the case. They may just be particularly good at what they've chosen to do. So my advice to reporters and journalists in general is just to think about what you're doing. So it can be very easy to actually hurt people or treat them as inferior or a second-class citizen just because they have a disability, rather than actually treat them as an inverted commas normal person who happens to have a disability.
So, words really do make a difference. But it's not just the words we use in the media that matter. It's also the words we use every day in conversations with disabled people.
And I'm an assistant chef familiar for charity. Then if people make but the project is for me someone for the first time. Something I've had a habit of talking to me as this. I'm poor, or I might not totally understand what's going on. So that means they're making something about me just because I'm still. What picks me off is when people say they're struggling. Make it sound of pain or me, please.
But seriously though, sometimes it is hard coping with an imperfect body because you feel isolated, unattractive, and you lose all your confidence. That's why now my ex-boyfriend goes to the gym.
But pictures as well as words have a major impact on disabled people. How many pictures have you seen where we are featured in a way which makes us look sad or tragic or just plain pathetic? And the way a picture is taken has a powerful influence on the message that it sends.
This is going in with the albums.
Marcus Mays is a picture editor for the Observer newspaper.
Basically, it's what the journalist called Nick Walsh.
With any picture of anybody, you're looking to instill kind of empathy, and you can tell when the photographer's got that right when dealing with a disabled subject. Usually what it means is that the person looks empowered and they look like they're actually control of their life. This was taken a couple of years ago in a demonstration. As you can see, it's quite a strong image, with the police removing some demonstrators that have chained themselves to these railings. What I like about it is it conveys a fair amount of have a go. This photograph was taken by a photographer called Harry Borden of an athlete called Nicola Jarvis. I like this picture because regardless of the high-tech looking wheelchair that she's on, you see her determined poise and facial expression, which basically tells you that she is first and foremost an athlete and secondly a disabled person. If I was giving advice to photographers taking pictures of disabled people, always they should be sensitive to their subjects, communicate with them, find out how they feel about it, if they wish to be photographed, if they don't wish to be photographed, how they wish to be perceived.
All we want is to be treated like everyone else, in pictures and in words. So please mind your language. Words really do affect the way we are treated. They can encourage people to look down on us, to treat us as victims, or they can tell it like it is, which is a much more interesting story. Well, that's all we've got time for in this edition of the news. So, from Jon Snow and me, Mik Scarlet, goodbye.